I'm Sarah Wheeler.
And I'm Miranda Rake. And this is Mother of It All, where we explore motherhood through the lens of culture and culture through the lens of motherhood.
Miranda, it is such a relief to see your face today. As you will learn, I'm deep in family vacation land, and I miss my friends.
I hear, you're more in it than I am, but I'm on the tails of 2 4-day weekends in a row, separated only by 3 days. So it's been a lot. But yeah, tell me about how are you?
Well,
How are you?
I want to tell you, I want to bring on our guest, and then
Oh, yes.
this is
Yeah.
our bonus
Yeah.
summer episode. We felt
Yeah.
like we could not. We're supposedly on a break right now, but parents never really have breaks. And also like there's just the summer is so meaty. I think like the culture kind of quiets down in a certain way, but like parenting life ramps up. And so I don't know, there's been a lot on my mind, and I'm happy to have you here to talk to me about it. And I'm so excited that Claire Zulkey is here with us today. We have wanted to have Claire on the podcast since its inception. You may know her as the author of the fabulous Substack newsletter, Evil Witches, which has been a source of parenting support, ideas, and most importantly, humor for me for many years. She is also a freelance writer based in Evanston, Illinois, which I know as the place where the PTAs voted to pool their money across schools, so that no school has more PTA funding than others. So very cool place. Welcome, Claire.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks, Sarah. I'm honored, especially during the summer. I agree. It's like a dead time and a meaty time, as many parts of parenting.
Yes, right.
Dead and meaty.
It's just a
So
metaphor for
true.
parenting. Claire, and because it's the summer, I want to know this about you too, Miranda. Who is caring for your kids right now? Summer edition.
For me, it's some counselors at the GCC. The kids are at a summer camp. That is like a 9 a.m., 3 p.m.
I know the JCC is the Jewish. What's the GCC?
Oh, no, it's the JCC. It is the JCC.
Oh.
Yes. No,
I was like, do you know that? I was like, is it the Goy Community Center? That's for anyone who doesn't know, that's what Jews call not Jews.
No,
WASP
we do represent the Goy community, but
right.
it's a
kids
JCC
go to Catholic
camp.
school.
Yeah, our summer solution was to just fork over like a third of our income, and honestly, LOL, like it's more than that. But it's a camp that's very well run. It's a day camp, and they like give them a lot of activities, and they have swimming indoors. So there was just no drama. And so, I feel like every camp you have to sacrifice some kind of thing in some way. Either it's time, either it's control, and so in this case, it's our money. And but they go to this camp and they come home tired, and it's really well run and well communicated. So that's our reality.
And how old are your kids?
My younger one is 9 and my older one is turning 12 in August. He is repping whatever the opposite of red shirting is. He's young for his grade. So he is like the little baby who's starting 7th grade. Yeah, exactly. Green shirt. So they are doing that. They both did a week of sleepaway camp this summer as well.
Was that a first, or is that like a tradition?
For the younger one, the one who has ADHD, actually. And it was kind of funny because like for the older one, I really was like, is he ready for this? Like, is this, like gonna be a thing? And then ironically for the younger one who has like more needs, I was like, I'm ready. And they'll figure it out. I know this camp well enough to be like, he's definitely not close to the hardest kid or strangest kid, or not strangest, but neediest kid, and he will be fine. Yeah. So I got some impassioned letters, but he had a good time, and so it did go.
Wait, well. Impassioned letters from him, or like the counselors? Okay,
that's from him. Like I'm crying right now as I write this letter.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I like this kid.
Yeah, well, the joke's on him because he wrote that and in a letter to his outgoing teacher. So I was like, I've heard that line before, so so I know it wasn't like original material. I mean, I
Yeah,
still
that's a bit he does.
yeah, exactly. It was like, okay,
Tears on the page.
yeah, he knows people like it. But yeah, he had a good time, and I said, I'm proud of you when he came back, and he said, thanks, I'm proud of myself.
Miranda, I want to know where
Yeah.
your kids are too. I don't know if you're
Okay.
getting into the
Yes,
big
I'm
Mine
sorry.
is boring. No, mine is boring. So I'm going to say it really quick, and then I'm going to say my little thing about the camp
Okay.
thing because I want to say, so we're very lucky. We have this nanny who lives with us, Darla,
We love
who
Darla.
we
The
love
show is
Darla.
sponsored by Darla.
The show is sponsored by Darla. And it's a long story about why it works and it's blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't exactly planned to be this way, but it is this way. But it ends in September. So I'm facing a harsh reality and not thinking about it. But summer is covered. So
So Darla's with the
but
kids all summer.
yeah.
Because normally
How old are
she-
your
she's
kids,
just with the
Miranda?
little one.
So the younger is about to turn 3 and
Okay.
the older is 6.5. So
Okay.
he's going into first grade.
Okay.
So we're still in like a pretty hardcore childcare need time.
Yeah.
Like they are not self-sufficient at all. So I feel really glad that we have her. And I think next summer I would like, my hope is to orchestrate something like this, like a nanny share with another family or something.
Mhm.
TLDR, like really lucky I have 40-hour a week childcare right now. So but what I was gonna say is this mother writer that I correspond with on Instagram sent me a thing about camps in France. And it was like one of these really annoying, like I'm an American mom and I live in France and here's what's better here. And like so grain of salt, but like she was talking about this thing called the quotient familial that they have there. That's like, I guess it's an income-based like bracket that they put you in. And if you are in, so she was talking about the lowest bracket, but if you're in the lowest bracket, just as an example, you can choose from all of these like state sponsored summer camps that appear to be like sleepaway camps for like, it's €2 a day.
Wow.
Ooh.
And
Mhm.
I just think, at first I was all like, oh, this lady sucks at whatever. Who cares what she says? And then I was like, oh, that floors me. Like
Yeah.
just the
Plain
idea that
croissant.
you can do this. Like
Mhm.
you can. And then of course, as I was watching it, I was like, well, they're about to have like this crazy far right government. And then they didn't even do that. And so now
Mm.
France really is better in every way.
And the
Anyway.
Olympics and everything. They really got it all.
But I do wonder, like I just wish, do either of you have a better understanding of like why, I feel like all of us think about this a lot. Like we have an awareness that it could be better, but like I don't I wish I deeply understood the exact mechanisms of like how to make it better, if that makes sense.
How to improve
I don't
it.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, there
like
was, well, it seems like the kind of the
Wait, Sarah, will
threads
you
right
say
now.
what your camps or your summer scenario
yes.
is?
Oh,
Where
Yeah.
are your kids?
Okay. We're just gonna
Sorry.
take, I want to get into the big picture.
I
Maria.
know. I know.
And so I'm gonna hold that up here and then I'll get down to the nitty gritty and tell you, you might have guessed from the nautical decor behind me that I am at a beach house. I'm in the South Shore of Boston at my stepdad's little house that we come to with like my extended family for a few weeks every summer. So I'm on like day 9 of like family vacation time, which like in family vacation days is like it's like dog years or something,
Yeah.
It's
So
like
you've been there for like about 12 years? Or?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean it has been beautiful in a lot of ways. But like I said, when I was giddy about seeing you two, it's nice to kind of talk about work, personal life things, which for me are kind of one and the same. I will say and so who's caring for my kids right now? I think my mom is on the beach maybe with my 8-year-old son, and then my 6-year-old daughter was somewhere with my older brother. He's been teaching them like Texas Hold'em and a lot of things like that. And, and there were definitely earlier, my son was definitely watching a lot of Star Wars. There's definitely a lot of screens. So, and I brought a show and tell actually for you, just briefly. Do you mind if I just?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. My favorite game to play.
Wait, should I take a screenshot of this
When I
for
come, sure, if you'd like.
the listeners?
When I come to my
Okay.
stepdad's beach house, is try to find a book you want to read in this house. I finished my book. It was fabulous.
Yes.
It was Very Cold People by Sarah Manguso. It was very disturbing and
Oh, I
very
love
well
her.
written. And then I had nothing to read. And this is so fun. You look around and there's things like the complete idiot's guide
Okay.
to learning Yiddish. So, you know, if I end up popping some Yiddish into our conversation
Please do.
today, please don't treat me like I'm Farjate. Did I say that right?
We don't know. I don't know.
Or
I
call me a
should,
Farstopperkep.
you know what? You should tell my kids what you learn and they could bring it to camp and then they will
Well,
be
it says down to earth advice on jazzing up your everyday conversations.
right.
Ooh, I like it.
It also claims that Yiddish is an increasingly popular language.
I mean, I kind of.
I think, yeah.
Maybe.
Well, it's an interesting time, that's for sure, to just work in a lot of Yiddish into your vocabulary and you know,
If your Catholic children, Claire, want to use Yiddish at camp, I, as a Jew, approve of it.
I would love that because so far the words that they have brought home this year from camp are pussy and douchebag. So something more like schlep or
Yeah, those are
schmel or,
German,
you know,
Germanic.
mensch. Yeah.
Yeah. Call someone a schlemazel and they'll have no idea what you mean.
Yeah. Anyways, let's, yeah.
Okay. So the big picture, right? We want to get to the culture. I mean, the strands that I've been following about summer seem to be right now that a lot of people are writing and thinking about how, you know, we have no summer safety net. You know, these social, political, cultural, and economic forces that make us basically make parents fucked in the summer and disproportionately mothers. And then there's kind of, you know, a whole other strand that is questioning, you know, whether that pressure that a lot of parents are complaining about how horrible it is to like cobble these camps together, how expensive it is really just like a symptom of middle class striving and our inability to let our kids have independence. And like, if we just kind of were comfortable with taking a few days off of work and like, you know, not having our kids, you know, get better at basketball or, you know, piano or whatever, and we're comfortable with them, you know, doing nothing and not improving on themselves, we wouldn't be complaining so much. So Claire Zulkey, your time starts 1 minute on that. Your time starts now.
My theory is that the childcare issue is the problematic issue and like how we view like time and work and money in this country and how like I think the idea of letting children be bored, obviously that's true, but that's not attainable for an entire day. Like that doesn't apply. Like I feel like at least where I live, maybe it's different in different parts of the country, but like I've lived thanks to COVID and thanks to everything, like with my kids with no social engagement. Like they don't start sometimes they go play ball with some friends at the park and that's great, but they are inert, they're kind of dumb, you know, and they don't make a lot of plans for themselves, so they do things like start their own projects, but like they're not meeting up with a bunch of other kids, you know, randomly and engaging with a lot of other kids. And I'm not saying they need like a lot of support, but like the way between screens, between money, you know, between just the way the neighborhoods are set up, is that even if you did somehow say like I'm going to be that mom who just lets them roll free, you are actually probably like doing a lot of work at home to enable this freedom, right? So it's their freedom, it's not yours.
You can't like turn a switch all of a
Right.
sudden. I think it's part of what you're saying, that like your children are growing up now. They are not growing up in the 90s, which we are nostalgic for. And you can't just all of a sudden on June 15th or whatever, like turn a switch and have them live in a world where they know how to be bored. And there are places in their community that kids can roam on their own unattended, and other adults think that that's fine and support that, right? Like that just doesn't exist. So to blame parents for not kind of like magically having that is not really reality. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of us would blame cars, right? Like car culture is like, I'm thinking about our block, and like there are a couple of boys who are a couple years older than Griffin who are pretty free rangey. Like, I mean, they can't go incredibly far, but they can ride their bikes down to the school a couple blocks away, and they do. And they do fine, but I feel kind of anxious when I see it, even though I believe in that, like theoretically. But our house is on a very, very busy like main artery in the city, and people whip around that corner, and like these kids, they're still kids. Like the kid is like, one of the kids is like 8, and he, mostly is aware, but I would not, do I 100,000% trust him to check every single time? Like, no. And so it's a little bit like, but he's not doing anything wrong. And his parents, I don't think are, I support what they're doing, but I'm also anxious when I see it, and I get nervous, and I don't know what and his parents are hands off. Like it is hands off. Like he's free. And that's tricky. But I do think everyone on the block kind of he's all of ours. I think we all feel that way.
I mean, the other thing is, depending on how old kids are, like I said, my kid's about to enter 7th grade. He has an iMessage account, but he does not have a phone, and he's one of the only ones. So
we stand in solidarity with you.
Thank you. It's kind
us
of
and Jonathan Haidt.
How do you do that? Does he have like does he do iMessage on a computer, or like so he has like an Apple ID or whatever? And then...
my husband set one up for him. So he has a disgusting old laptop that he uses for his schoolwork and screen time, and so he can text message people from that.
This is a good solution. I like this.
I think I hope so. Let me not pat myself on the back, because that's how you end up discovering that your kid has been catfishing 3 people, but so on the one hand, I kind of feel bad for him, because I'm like, oh, he's missing out on a certain social, everyone communicating with each other. But that's something I've been learning from other moms of kids the same age, is that these kids are commuting with each other online, but then not so much in real life. Like they don't want to make plans then. So at least for me, 7th grade boys are kind of like some middle-aged men who just like, they don't, their social lives are like, need a little bit of a boost, or in real life.
They need a wife to be like, we're going over to the Levinsons for dinner, or, it's bowling night or whatever. Yeah.
They are just very awkward about that. Like that. And I mean, the discourse about men and like socializing, it can make you very anxious. It was just funny. Yesterday we were at the pool, and the kids saw some kids from school, and they didn't play with them until after like 2 hours. It was like parallel play almost, until finally they integrated. And I think it's just easier to be like, you know what, 7th grade boys, particular, not to generalize, but just they're just not all about like, hey buddy, like let's sow some seeds of networking and make plans and show up for each other. That's just like not the era they're in, but that's okay. Like I think they have their upsides as well. So anyway, just for me personally, like my kids do have they have their boredom time. They have their allotted boredom time per week. They have plenty of options to come up with their own fun and their own projects. But like, for someone who wants to set a phone call like this, do an interview, do some deep writing time, anything like that, get housework done. Having kids be bored does not mean they're not bothering you, that they are coming, that's like kind of like a boomerang, so that's a parental issue as well as a kid issue.
Yeah. It again, it's like, if we're talking about a week, like you said, a week of vacation, I do think that there's something, I'm always interested in kind of the stories that we tell ourselves as parents, and in challenging those stories. And I am definitely someone who understands the kind of very personally, the like economic crisis that a lot of us are in. And I'm always kind of questioning to people like, do you need to work that hard? Do you need to work that many hours? What would happen if you told your job that you don't go in on Thursday afternoons? For some of us, the answer is something very bad. But I think that sometimes we have more flexibility than we think we do, and that there is some value both in kind of unscheduling ourselves, and then also kind of with our children saying like, well, what would happen if we didn't have an activity? Can we just feel in the discomfort of just kind of not monitoring our children for an afternoon? So I like that line of thinking, and the scale of it is just so large. We're really talking about for 2 to 3 months of, a lot of parents, even with camp, right? The expense, if you can find it, the expense that's not $2 a day, even like there are locally, like we have city run camps that are to me, very affordable. So there are those options in a lot of places, but a lot of people tell me that in cities, those fill up really quickly, months in advance.
This episode of Mother of It All is brought to you by Freya, the easiest way to let go of your stuff. Whether you're giving or getting free stuff, Freya says yes to taking the bag and leaving the baggage.
We're so excited to tell you all that we have a sponsor for this episode, and it's one we actually believe in. Miranda, you've been a Freya user for a while now. Can you tell us what it is and why you like it?
Sure, Sarah. Yes, I love Freya. I use it all the time to get rid of stuff. I don't have Facebook, and the only thing I have missed about Facebook is the Buy Nothing groups. But Freya is even better than Buy Nothing because you don't have to message constantly back and forth when you're trying to get rid of stuff. So the way that it works is you can take a picture of your thing you're trying to get rid of. Yesterday, I got rid of some sunscreen that my daughter is apparently allergic to.
Sunscreen's the worst.
I know. It was just,
Get it out of here.
It was a bummer. It was stressing me out that we had it. So I took a picture of it, posted it on Freya, clicked the little button that says I set it outside, and then I never had to think about it again. And this morning it was just gone. I didn't have to message with anyone. I didn't have to say anything to anyone. I didn't have to explain the ingredients to some random
I'm
neighbor.
Not here to make friends. I just want to get rid of my shit and get free stuff. There's a lot of like crap you want, you're like throwing a birthday party, you need paper plates, or, you're trying to get I don't know, just hypothetically, a very small desk for your child's very small closet room. And I often go to Buy Nothing, but it is such a headache to kind of then have 10 interchanges with a stranger about it.
Right. And if you're trying to break up with Meta, no offense, to Mark Zuckerberg, but
offense.
Yeah. So it's great. It's its own little doodah. You can download the app and you can take pictures inside the app, or if you have your pictures all ready to go, you can post it that way. And you don't have to interact with people if you don't want to. And if you do want to have them schedule, because it's like, they're going to have to carry a bed out of your basement or something, that's an option. You can do that.
You can leave them, you can bake them cookies if you want, but you're in control.
Yeah. And this is really an app that also, I would like to say genuinely, like it's run and created by really nice, normal people. This is not some massive tech company. This is just a couple of nice people here in Portland who are trying to come up with a way to get rid of stuff that works a little bit better.
Great. So if you're in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, or Atlanta, Georgia, you already have a thriving Freya community. If you're in other places, I'd still encourage you, like I downloaded the app and I did see there was one person in the Bay Area that had something. And I think they're looking to grow communities in those places. So
you can
be demand, be the free change you want to see in the free world. Okay, now back to our episode.
There's a neighbor that a neighbor of ours whose kids are a little bit older than ours, and something that she and I share is, at least I've discovered, like back in February when people were, or January, really freaking out, and we were getting all these texts from other moms at school about, what camp, and we're signing up for this week of this camp and that week of that camp. And I was like, I want summer to feel like, for me, like wide open, like I am living for that. Like I am living for summer. And maybe that's because it rains 9 to 10 months of the year up here. And so like us mole people, like here in the Pacific Northwest, like summer doesn't begin in terms of weather until July 4th is what we say. And then we get until maybe mid-October of like some sunshine. And so there really is this sense of like, I am going to be outside from the minute the sun comes up until the minute the sun goes down, and my kids are going to stay up late and we're going to throw away bedtime. And we don't throw away bedtime, but for the first few weeks we kind of did. And it was like, we had a solstice party and like the kids were up late making s'mores, and we did sparklers at sunset, and like, everything was a little bit, I mean, there was a romper piece recently about like feral mom summer, where it was a little feral, and like, but I needed that.
Yeah.
Like, and I wanted them to feel that kind of like
Right.
wildness, because the school year's so structured. And I was like, the last thing I want to do is structure summer. Like,
But
Yeah.
I want,
also you get to do that because you have guaranteed childcare every day.
totally.
And you're not
Also,
having to say, oh shit, it's Sunday night. Like, oh, this kid's camp is in North Berkeley and this other kid's is over by the lake in Oakland. This is, just
well,
and
this is what I did as a
how are we
kid.
going to
Like,
get them there?
so I think what I'm remembering is also like both my parents worked full time, and as a kid I had a sense of a lot of freedom in summer, and like I think we did this nanny share with a group of girls all through elementary school, and it was pretty low key. I mean, we mostly just hung out in this. We had a basement that was available to us for a few years, and then we had an attic in someone's house that was available to us for a few years.
So that's what
And
you're looking for. Like, it sounds like next summer
yeah,
you're
just
trying to
like
get the
hang
nanny
out.
share, the low key.
Do
It's
people
you.
do this? Like, am I
Yeah, you need an
crazy or is
adult.
this possible? Like,
I
it
don't
was like
know.
5 or 6 kids. We all went to the same school, so we all lived in the same neighborhood, so it was kind of like there was like an ease to it. And I don't want to like overplay that, but
You
Not a
it
know,
was
bad idea.
low key. I don't
I
know.
mean, in that case, that's like family chemistry, I think, because like you can't,
Mm.
like that's impossible. That we have a family that we are lucky to have like that, where the boys are exactly the same age as my kids, and like we parent the same way, and the kid, like, and
Mm,
they're easy. So that makes life easy. But that's a whole other thing if there's drama between the kids or the parents, and like,
mm,
I mean, one thing first of all, one like extreme other side of that is your kids, especially you, Miranda, like another like extreme of that my kids are not doing is summer sports. And I know so many kids who are scheduled now on the weekends and the evenings with like
No.
travel baseball and stuff.
Right, because
Yeah.
your kids play baseball during the school
mm.
year, and it sounds
Yeah.
like quite a operation.
Yes, and we made the mistake of doing that one summer, and I was like, you know what, I want to be able to go to the park and see a concert, or go to the beach in the evening, or go to the pool, or just
Yeah.
stay home, and but
So
I
you opted out of that this
this
summer.
year, yeah, yes, we're like, because indeed the sports are out of
That's
control,
brilliant.
but I was gonna say, I think I also do think there is something, I joke about it being called big summer, but I think summer is a little bit like the holiday season, where part of it is like we feel this obligation to make it this magical time that we have to make the most of. And obviously you do hate squandering a nice day, and you hate not thinking ahead maybe of like a plan you could have made, but like, and I do think this is on more, I mean, it's on dads too in their own way, with like camping and grilling and whatnot. But like, I do think there's this weird fiction or this memory that we have of our own screen-free, device-free, perhaps more stay-at-home moms, like childhoods that we like aspire to measure up to, that again, like doesn't fit the same mold. And so I think we like give ourselves some slack, that sometimes I don't know, the
Mm,
idea of like making every day have some kind of summer magic is, I know I feel really guilty about it, like when my kids come home from camp and I'm like, oh, I like, we should go to the beach right now, but I have a deadline, or like I gotta make dinner,
mm.
and so I personally am just like, try, whatever, don't let summer get like guilt you, don't let big summer get to you, and make you think that
Yeah.
that you work for summer, make summer work for
Yeah,
you.
there's another tension, right? Like you want to kind of, Miranda's talking about like being up late on the sparklers or whatever, like you want to enjoy yourself or be a little feral, but you also don't want to have the pressure to like turn into a completely different family in the summer. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
there was a an interesting piece about this in Melinda Wennermoyer's Substack. Did you guys read that? Yeah, where she was just talking about the pressure that we put on it, and like maybe that we put so much pressure on summer because we're such dicks to ourselves all the rest of the year. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I eat ice cream year round. And
Oh, heck yeah.
and I let my kids do too. Waffle cone, you want the
Yeah.
chocolate waffle cone? Fine. We're doing 2
Yeah.
scoops topping. Although in the summer I do ramp up to like, I think I'm averaging like 3 ice creams a day because there's a little truck here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
and sometimes we'll do it twice. It has this horrible song and then it goes, hello, hello.
Oh God, that's
Um,
awful. Like a
but
VTech toy.
exactly, you just want to
Oh
throw
my
it against the wall.
God.
But I have
I
come
love
to
it.
love
Do they
the
scoot? Is
sound.
it a real ice cream truck? Like, because the ice cream
No,
trucks here are like the ones where you get the, Spider-Man face with the
Yeah,
gumball or
frog
that's
with
what
whatever.
an
the
ice cream
eyes.
truck is. Is there some
Yeah.
kind of bougie ice cream truck I don't
Well,
know
okay,
about
so I
where they
was
scoop it
shopping
out
for
for you?
ice cream trucks for our block party, and I was like, I
Oh,
reached out to all the ice cream trucks in Portland. It turns out we opted for a bounce house instead of an ice cream truck because it
yeah,
was so
that's
expensive that we had to make a choice, and the block voted for bounce house. I would have voted for ice cream truck, but it's okay.
in BYO.
There was a really cute one though that was a bike, and they come and they bike, and then they do have you choose your flavors and they fill it and they scoop the
That's
ice
some
cream.
Portland shit. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, on South Shore Boston, that does not. We got Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
and the ice cream truck is like, a kind of freaky looking, like a Mexican piñata that's
Yeah.
off-brand.
Oh yeah. It's got to be off-brand.
Teenage
Like
Mutant Ninja Turtle face with bubblegum eyeballs.
Yeah,
it's
And
like
it's cartoon
I
characters
love
that are
it.
already out, that
Yes.
have been out of like off air for 25
Yes.
Exactly.
years.
It's
But
like
Dora
Sonic the
Explorer for my
hamster
Yeah.
or
kids.
something where you're like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
Fred
Why is
Flintstone
Yeah.
popsicle.
Can I share my I'm gonna stop talking, but I want to share my favorite summer treat, which is the public pool that we swim at most days has, maybe they all do, but they have just slushies and they're $1 and they're like,
A
we get it every time.
dollar.
$1.
That's perfect.
Oh my
Damn.
gosh. And they have popcorn and that's
That's
also
like
a
half a
dollar.
day of French summer camp.
Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah,
worth it.
seriously. Yeah.
Well, we get it. So we get it every time we go. Like the first time we went, we were like, we'd been talking about slushies and popcorn at the pool all winter long. We were like, just think we're gonna do that. So the first day we went, we all got slushies. We each got a slushie and we each got popcorn. And my husband and I were like, we can't do this every time we come. We're gonna like, and he immediately calculated like if we swim every day and then we get this every day, here's how much it'll cost. And then I was like, you know what? Like we aren't doing anything big. Like we're not, we know families who are like, well, we're going to Europe for 6 weeks or whatever.
Mhm.
And like, we aren't doing that. We're not, this is our thing. This is our big summer thing is like slushies and popcorn at the pool. And so I just decided like we're doing this every night. Like we're getting
YOLO, baby.
yeah, this is dinner. This is
I'm
so
working
good.
on I just did a story for a client freelance about this guy researches savoring, the art of savoring and the act of savoring, like how to make your good
Ooh.
memories last longer, basically. And a big part of it is like talking ahead of time with anticipation about like we're gonna go to the pool and we're gonna have the slushies and the popcorn. It's gonna be so good. So like
Foreplay.
you're
Oh,
like creating core memories when you do that, and your kids will remember that
fascinating.
when they're
Okay.
older. Mhm.
It just
That's
feels like, yeah,
interesting.
foreplay to me. It's just like, oh,
It did feel
I'm
like
gonna
it
get
kind of
whipped
created
cream on
this
my
like
Sunday.
story around it. Yeah. And then it was like when we held the slushie, it was like, and you can get this addition. So they have flavors, and I usually get cherry, and you can add shocker, which makes
Ooh.
it sour.
Okay,
So
this
it's
is
yeah,
sounding
yeah.
sexual now. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it kind of is.
Where do they put the shocker?
Um, anyway, I think it's reminding me of the holiday episode we made with Sarah Peterson, where she talked about loving the holidays. And like, so she was sort of inherently happy to do all the things like hang
Mm.
twinkle lights. I don't think she felt obligated. I think it was truly a joy. And I struggle at the holidays to discern the difference between what is true joy and what is like obligation. I have an incredibly hard time like stepping back and seeing
Right.
that for real. But summer, for whatever reason, I can say genuinely, all of these things are like a pleasure.
I do really lean into enjoying it a lot of the time, but I also kind of see myself like, this week at our beach house being like, I am watching my daughter splash in the waves with her cousins. I am like, we are making a memory. This is a time of joy,
Yeah.
and I'm not really like,
Right.
it's
And
that kind of like making the
Mm.
most of it thing, though it doesn't always feel hard. What do
for
you?
me, like my
Mhm.
happy time this weekend was my parents belong to a pool. My husband wasn't feeling well. I wasn't feeling that great. We realized that we're allowed to get like some extra guests to the pool. So this family I know, I brought their two boys with my boys to the pool. And I think to some people, being a mom with 4 boys sounds like hell, but if you have the right combination of kids, they completely watch after each other. So we went,
Mm-hmm.
they played, I read the paper, I worked on the crossword, I read a novel, like not a novel, I read, like some nonfiction. And then yeah, we had lunch and treats, and then we went home and it was raining, and then they like bought screen time. I felt like with all of the running around, it was like, yes, let's all relax. So having that. Oh, and my son we played badminton like for 5 minutes on the grass. So I did indeed actually interact with my child for a
And you
few
exercise. That's
minutes.
cardio. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're done for
And
the day.
I used the thing that I brought, which is, all you can ask for.
A
So
miracle.
yeah, I hate to say that, like getting to the point where you can ignore your kids, but go somewhere and not worry about them. Like we have a park district where we live that has concerts in the park across the street once a week. And we go and the kids run around, and then they kind of pop up to take a bite of their sandwich or just to check in or ask for some money to buy pop. But that's just nice, just to be like, they're there, but they're doing their own thing. We're doing our own thing. And you feel like,
That's
yes.
my dream. I think you're describing, like, I want my children to be enjoying summer their way while I enjoy summer my way.
Yeah.
And I have like a reputation for like mommy doesn't get in the water. I actually did it the other day. Also, it's fucking freezing here.
Yeah.
The water is, but and my daughter was like, I'm so proud of you, mommy. But I want to be reading a book while they're having fun. And I do have those moments. I think my opt out this summer, like I'm thinking of you opting out of summer sports, which by the way, just sounds like a special kind of hell, Claire. Good for you. Well, I don't know if this is opting out or opting in. I think this is actually probably like a lab for all of the issues that we're talking about. And we always talk about around parenting. But I decided not to put my kids in camp for the last week of the summer, and I am going to be the primary parent for them. And what I'm doing now is trying to like not tell myself this fantastical lie that every day we're all going to get along and like have some, majestic life experience that, we come home and journal about. But also that it won't be, that we won't just like waste it. And it's tricky.
I was just going to ask you both, like, tell me if this sounds crazy, but sometimes when I'm not with my kids a lot, I will dread then like being on duty. Like it's this thing that looms.
Yeah.
And then like an hour or so into being like the only parent around,
You
I
want to kill
actually am
them.
like, oh, this,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
like, I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. Like I don't know if this is because like, sometimes it is so bad, right? When they're both
when
freaking out
my
at the
kids are
same
getting
time.
along, that is the experience I have. Yes.
Yeah, like even or like both playing by themselves and like no one needs you and you're like, "Oh, I'm earning parent points and I'm not doing anything." Like
Yeah.
I'm laying on the floor in the hallway.
Right. What's hard is I don't want to like basically parenting is, I mean, it's always hard and exhausting. But right now at my stage of life, parenting is joyful when my kids are getting along, and it fucking blows when they're not. And that's just kind of that's basically like the clearest pattern. And so, but I don't want to put that on them. Like it's not that like I'm only staying home with them if they'll get along. It just is
Right.
gonna be like this. Claire, you have wisdom for me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, well, because I did this, my husband, we do have a couple of lonely weeks at the end of the summer where there's not day camp. My kids are going to do a half week or a week of half day, maybe it's only 3 hours, ultimate frisbee camp. Which is like kind of funny that they're doing that. But last summer I was you, and I made this list of like, these are going to be a lot of cool activities that we're going to do like in town or, kind of bigger trip sort of things. And I took, it was a lot of like, great job, mom, but I think in retrospect, I would like maybe ramp down the expectations of myself a little bit, like not necessarily do a big downtown or big, amusement park day, or I don't know.
Oh, no,
like,
I don't fuck with amusement parks. Don't worry.
No, but I definitely doing activity in the day so you can again buy that downtime at night. And then I was talking to another mom friend about, I think we're going to try to like trade days with some other parents and be like, I'm going to own the morning on Monday, you do Tuesday, so just that you can like grab a few hours to do whatever, like.
Yep, some mutual aid. I do like that. And I do have a good crew of parents that are usually down for that. I mean, even so far this summer, we did not do what you did, Claire, and like just kind of find something that worked and stick with it. We have like a different plan literally every week, and then sometimes each kid is
Like
doing something different.
nightmare, right? Because it's like,
Yeah,
what time is drop off? What's the lunch
it's
policy? Are they
it's
swimming?
so
You know,
dumb.
yeah, it
Um,
is very, what's the
so
app?
yeah, well, and then so so other parent like my daughter's friend's dad drove her to camp an entire week, even though she
Right.
wasn't going to camp with his son. It was just they were kind of close together. So we have our mutual aid has worked, and I'm also okay. Here's my other tip. I have been writing like a note to go into my calendar for both like January when camp signups start and next summer with like reminders, not because I have to optimize things, but just because like you just as a parent, you're using all your resources to like survive and then you have like no memory. And I want to remember what has been fun and what was a bad idea.
As I'm hearing all of this, I'm like, more than ever, and my kids are the youngest, right? So I'm not where you all are, but I don't we do like my kids' cousins are about the same age, and so their grandma signed them up for this like 2-hour theater camp that's like a week long in August, and just as a chance to hang out and kind of give them something to do. And I don't care. But I would say that generally speaking, like I will need childcare in the summer, and um, I'm hoping I can continue to opt out of the camp scramble. Like I'm hoping that we can do babysitters with neighbors or something like that. And and I do know people in the neighborhood who do that, who kind of like make it work between babysitters and a buttload of screen time and kind of like
Yeah, it'll
and
say, yeah.
half-ass the work a little bit. And but I don't know, I'm interested to hear what you both have to say about kind of like um this question of I'm interested that your kids are willing to like just go to stuff, because I think also Griffin, my older, like he often does not want to leave the house. Like he's a lounger. He wants to chill. Like I think I also feel this sense of pushing him through school all year, and
Yeah.
like and he enjoys, he doesn't mind it once he's there, and he's got lots of friends. But it's really obvious to me that what like charges his batteries is like alone time, chill time, downtime. And so I kind of want to like almost steep him in that in the summer
Yeah,
if I
right. Instead
can.
of battling over like you have to go
Yeah.
to badminton camp. Yeah.
Right. Like he would
Um,
hate all of that. And there's all these cool camps that all his friends are doing. First of all, we can't afford them. Like the cool ones are all like $500 a week. I was like,
totally.
that's crazy. I can't. It reminds me of like daycare prices where you're like, we don't have, that's just not our financial reality. I don't know how people
Yeah.
pay for it. But like also he would hate it. So like
Mm.
double whammy. Like we can't afford it. And if we could, he would hate it. So I don't know, like I I don't
See,
know.
this is the
Yeah.
culture getting to you because you know what works for you and your kid, but then knowing that there's these other things that people are doing, even
Mm-hmm.
though you are intelligent enough to know what's right for you, you can't help but be like, but should I? Should do they know something we don't know? Like, should
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish I had an answer for how to get past that, but as long that will always be part of it. Like there'll always be some like, did we, but what
Yeah.
is right for you guys. But there'll always be a million options that show you some other kid, some other kid's reality, some other parent's reality.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And the
you have to train
flurry of
yourself to ignore.
that I think our husbands don't deal with, right? I was like the mom flurry of texts about summer. And even now that summer's
Actually,
here, it's like
my husband is the point on summer.
that's
He
amazing.
does most of the summer signups. I usually like kind of make and track a spreadsheet because I like a spreadsheet, but he does the signing up and kind of all of that.
Coordination. It's the
Yeah,
parent coordinate,
yeah.
like I think
And
that the texting threads, this is like I'm new. We just got out of kindergarten, but like the parent volume of parent communication, like we're
yeah,
doing this one, we're doing that one, this one,
Yeah.
let's all in it. Like
well,
I feel totally
my
overwhelmed
brother
by
who
that.
does create apps was saying that he wanted to make an app that like just showed you what your kids' friends were doing in the summer. You know, the way that
Yeah,
we all, like
yeah.
some of us
Yeah.
share each other's
Well,
spreadsheets and shit. I was
again,
like, that's not a
Mhm.
bad idea. But again, it
Yeah.
might feed into that projection that
it is weird. Like
Claire's talking about.
if I didn't have that text chain, I wouldn't know that these 6 boys from the 7th grade camp were going, or from the 7th grade, we're going to be doing the 3rd session of aquatics camp, and then knowing that they're all in that together. You know, while your kid might be happy doing something else, but now you're aware that all of these
Yeah.
kids are, you know. But
So maybe the opt-out is get off the parenting text chain for the summer. Give yourself a break from
Mm.
school.
kind of,
Yeah.
you gotta kind of look at it with one eye a little bit, because I just literally
Mhm.
was thinking about that today, looking at these birthday party pictures and being like, my kid is he's not part of this group, and and maybe that's hard. But then I was like, but also he's kind of like a free agent, and he can sort of plug and play into like a lot of different groups, and he doesn't need to be part of this one crew of kids,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's also a good thing. So, but again,
Yeah.
it's really hard to always keep the mindset of not being like, unfortunately, it's like that mother persona, the woman persona of like, am I not optimizing? Am I missing out on? I mean, I've been,
Yeah.
too lazy or whatever. So,
Yeah. I
you
think
know,
I haven't gotten to that because I'm so overwhelmed by the logistics. But I do hear that like it's both kind of logistical and psycho-emotional, the kind of overwhelm of the summer for us parents. I want to go back to Miranda, like, you brought up at the beginning, at the top, solutions. Like,
Mm.
I'm wondering from each of you, do you have like a highbrow and a lowbrow wish for summer? And I guess what I mean, like for me, like my highbrow wish would be that there was more organized mutual aid. Like I would love, I'm an educator, like I would totally run a week of summer camp at my house for 5 kids if someone else would take, my kids. And I have things to teach, like I could do a baking camp. We
Ooh.
could all learn, how to give psychological testing, like that's, and
Yeah.
then, it's like my friend is an architect. It's like, I, I think that would like really align with my values about summer, that I want things to be, interesting and different and free, but also a little janky, like the
Mm-hmm.
$1 slush
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
camp. But I
Yes. Yeah.
also, I don't, I also, it's hard for me. Like I had some shitty times being at a big kind of neglectful summer camp. And so I have my stereotypes about those two. And my lowbrow wish is that there's some way I could never have to put sunscreen on my kids. It's just, I
Mm.
just find it to be an absolute
Mm-hmm.
horror. It is the worst. It is even worse than folding laundry for me. I just want them to like come out every morning of summer protected. Um, and yeah, I don't know. So any ideas out there?
Claire, you want to go first? What are your highbrow, lowbrows?
God, give me a second to think of something highbrow, and let's think it all comes together. But well, let me just tell you a story. My son refused to wear a swim shirt, and then he had a really distinctive sunburn that was like a sunburn minus
Like
the
it was the
couple.
shape of Florida or something?
It was like a whole back, but minus a couple of streaks where he managed to get some like sunscreen on his back. And
Nice.
he
Classic.
was like such a dick to me about me trying to get him to wear the swim shirt. And my friend
Yep.
who's a dermatologist said, give him a slap on the back. Like, and
Nice.
I did the next day because he was being a jerk. So anyway, the sunscreen thing is real. I do. I wish that cell phones maybe didn't exist anymore, and that kids could communicate with each other either by the
Mm,
old-fashioned telephone, or like riding by each other's houses, or
right.
hollering at the park, like, because the cell phone thing, it is really like, it is such a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I feel like with
Mm.
kids of a certain
Mm.
age.
I feel like that's
Um,
highbrow and lowbrow at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, you know what my lowbrow thing is? I wish that my razor was differently shaped, that I could just shave my armpits blind now without having to do a look in the mirror, because I can't anymore get everything without looking. Something has changed in my physiology. So yeah, I wish I could just shave my armpits in a faster manner.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
I
if that's
have on my list of questions to ask you today. Like,
Mm.
do I need to keep waxing my bikini line? And is it internalized misogyny that I want to have a hairless bikini line,
I find it fascinating that, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I haven't done that in like a decade.
Really? Well, what
Yeah.
are your hairs looking like?
Who care? I don't care. I've been married
Okay.
for so long. I don't care.
Well, I'm
I
not
do-
doing it for my husband. I'm
Who
doing
is
it
it for then? Who's it for?
the,
Like
the
to
young man. It's for me. It's for me, Miranda.
is it? I'm too cheap.
Is it?
You
I
know,
know, I
it
don't
started
know.
because I'm too cheap. I was like, I don't want to pay for this anymore. And
I don't
then
want to see like my black, like pubic,
I
wiry
just
pubic hairs when I'm,
I think
I
I don't
no,
know.
well,
I
I
think I
have
also have like a don't look at me. I'm like, just so don't look at me. You know, I don't
oh,
know.
I
It's
want
a
everyone to
weird.
look at me all the time.
that's
So
my
there we go.
internalized motto that in case anyone says I don't like the look of your whatever, I in my head I have if you don't like it, don't look at it. But no one's come
Yeah,
to me with that.
right.
I thought about this,
It
Sarah.
hasn't come up.
Well, weirdly, no one's like clocking me as like closely as they should be. I thought about this because I also get my bikini line waxed in the summer only. But I have other things that I'm perfectly fine with like letting hang out. Like I have a lot of cellulite and I have a lot of varicose veins and stretch marks. I don't tan. And that is just like the thing I can deal with versus not deal with. And
Right.
I work out a lot. I have some leg muscles I am kind of proud of.
Oh,
So I sort of like don't mind the way my
Yeah.
like bikini bottom looks. Again, not perfect, very not perfect. Like, but for me, I'm proud to be where I am. So, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, I know someone who says like they don't wax at all. And I was like, well, what do you have creepy crawlies? And she's like, no, I just wear a swim dress. And I was like, okay,
oh.
like good for you, and
When I told my mom that I waxed, she was like devastated. Like this is what
That's
we fought
maybe.
for in the 60s.
Well, tell your
She
mom
was like,
about
we
me.
burned our bras in the streets so that you can go get tortured and pay
Yeah.
to, and
And
I was
pay
like, I
for
don't know,
it.
I just like it, but I never, I
If
don't
you
know.
like it, do it. I say, like,
I
for
don't know. It
me,
might
I
just be
feel
my
like,
male gaze refracting back,
I'm seeing this microcut. Like, I don't, okay, here's what I'm gonna put out there is like, um, sort of like maybe a condoization of like your emotional life or something. Like, if it's not like pleasurable, like maybe don't do it if you don't have to.
Well,
Like
my
just
lady's really good. Amanda's good.
if
Okay,
it's
but
fun,
Miranda,
do it.
what
Yeah.
about you? Highbrow, lowbrow solutions for summer?
Oh, solutions. Or like wishes.
Yeah, wishes,
Uh
wishes.
I don't know if it's highbrow. Does it have to be realistic?
No, of
Oh,
course not.
okay.
What a question.
I would like to not work in the summer ever again. That's my
Oh,
summer
yeah,
wish.
I
I would love
agree.
to just take a summer. I want to have
hmm
summer.
I would
I
like
want,
that,
yeah.
but to never be bored, which is the hard, like, I don't know how that would work. Like, that would be,
Yeah.
you
I know I
know,
had a friend, like a friend kind of devastated me with an observation about her life recently that was, she was like, I'm so busy and I'm so bored.
mhm,
And I was like, oh, woof. Like, I
yeah,
hear that. Like the work, childcare, 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 and like marriage, marriage, and marriage. And then you're just like tired. And
mhm.
then you're just like, it is. I was like, that's exactly it. Um, so yeah, I know the boredom issue. I guess it would be like I didn't have to work and my kids were occupied for like half the time. So I could
mm-hmm.
hang with them a little bit. I could have some me time. That would be my summer wish.
I had one more idea that I wanted to make real yesterday. I wish there was a slow cooker, but for salads, where you could like just
Mm.
throw a bunch of ingredients and you didn't have to wash them or chop them or
And it
anything like
would
that.
totally, I
Hmm.
actually, okay, for me, it goes putting sunscreen on my kids is like the worst parenting, worst kind of mundane life task. Then it's folding laundry and then it's making salads. I want to eat a
Mm.
salad every day. And like,
Beautiful salad.
oh my God, the idea, yeah, no, I won't eat any old salad. No, I want it
No.
to be very special.
Toasted
Um,
nuts
Totally, with
from
different textures and colors and like cutting that shit up or like cooking. No fucking way. And
Hmm.
Miranda, I got to tell you, I have an amazing intervention that would allow you to live your summer fantasy that you don't think is realistic. It's called working in education. And
I
and
know.
it is beautiful.
I
I've done it my
know.
whole life. And even now that like most of my work kind of is year round, I'm just in the habit of it where I don't make much work for myself in the summer.
But don't you have
Um,
to? I feel like my friends who are teachers work like quadruple hard in the school year. Like, like
Yes,
they're
you
at the
need the
brink
summer as a
and then
teacher
they
to not
have
have a
to have,
nervous breakdown. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
I don't want,
essential, but But you know, I think when you're older and you have your stuff together,
boundaries.
it does feel like a real vacation.
I love that.
So yeah.
I'm gonna mine you both for tips really quick
Oh
because
yeah,
we're
I'm ready
doing
for
our
this.
first, okay, so my husband and I are doing our first night away from our children in about 3 weeks. And then we're gonna do another night away from them 10 days later because a work trip thing came up. And so I need all your tips. Like I have never been, I was away from my older when I had my younger. And that's it. And I'm really
Have you done
excited.
a post on this, Claire? I bet you have.
Oh God, I have not. I actually sent my son and husband away when my son was like 3 months old to go stay at my parents' house because I was like, I need a night by myself in the house. So,
You're an icon.
Okay, well, give me tips. Like, what am I going to miss them?
Yes.
Should I? Yeah, I don't know what to
well,
feel.
2 things. Well, first of all, maybe random question. Do you drink alcohol?
A little, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I learned from experience is do not drink too much because then you will sleep badly and waste your night. That is
Mm,
something that my husband and I do. We would go hard and party and then end up fighting and sleeping poorly. It took me sadly a long time to figure out like why that was happening. So mind your alcohol intake just because you want to sleep well. That is
mm,
above all your biggest treat. And you will talk about your kids and look at their pictures because they are never as enticing as they are when they're away from you and on your phone, and you'll talk about them. And that's okay because they are a big part of your lives. But that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be far away from them, and like you need this. And so
mm,
think about the little stories that you'll have for each other about your time separate, and then you'll hear about their time away from you and how great that will be to share those stories. So those are my main pieces of advice. Sarah, what do you
mm.
think?
Yeah, I mean every family's different, every kids are different. It always worked for me never to live FaceTime or call. Especially
Mm,
when my kids were young, that was too confusing for them. And then it was like overwhelming for me to hear them say like I miss you or something. Now I can handle it. My kids are 6 and 8 and I can call them live and they can handle it. But when they were like your kids' age, we would either not communicate at all or send pictures or videos.
yeah.
And that asynchronous is a lot less overwhelming, I think, for everyone.
That's great
Um,
advice.
so, and then the other piece is just like really don't judge whatever response you have. So, like, if you
Mm,
miss them desperately and you're aching and you need to like cry before you go out to dinner, don't judge that. If you
mhm,
feel totally fine and wish that you had more time away from them, don't judge that. If you have different experiences than your husband and you guys are responding, it doesn't mean anything about what kind of parents you are. You won't really know what kind of parent you are away from your kids until you do it. And
mhm.
so you can expect a range of things, but like don't be upset at yourself for whatever your response is.
Totally. Also, yeah. Are
Yeah.
you going to be at home both these nights, or you'll be out of
You're the
town?
one away.
I'll be away. I'm
Okay.
going to the first trip. It's actually kind of great. Like the first trip is to a place that's about 40 minutes away. And it's like we'll park the car and there's like soaking pools and a little bar and things like that. And then the next trip, 10 days later, we're gonna take the train up to Seattle. So we'll be gone for longer that second trip. Um, just I mean a day, like, but it'll really be 2 days. It'll be like the morning and then we'll come back the following night. So that'll be that's the longest. I think the kids will feel that. Like,
Yeah,
And
but
they're
it's okay. Of
yeah,
course they'll feel it and it's totally fine.
yeah.
Yeah, especially, if you're worried, are you worried about them having feelings, or they seem like they'll be peachy keen?
I always worry the most about my older. Like
Yeah.
he's my worry. I worry about him. And I don't know if that's like I dump a lot on him maybe too. I don't know. I can't tell. It's like a line I can't discern where it's like,
I
do I
bet,
worry about
yeah,
him
he's a
too
kid,
much
I
or
think, where you could come up with a little ritual if you want it, just kind of
mm,
he
Yeah,
would probably have an idea of like he
yeah.
wants a note from you or
Or a
something.
little
yeah.
overnight like packet, like my mom, when she and my dad would travel out of the country a couple times, she would, I mean, this is probably just spoiling, I don't know if this is good parenting, but it certainly worked. She would make us a little like package of like little toys and activities basically, and that just kind of like lessened the, it was kind of frankly it kind of made it like a little fun to get something. I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but
No, he's
little
stuff motivated. I mean, stuff.
Yeah.
This you are both reminding me, and I always
will
forget.
just
He'll do
say,
anything for toys.
I don't think that's bad parenting. I'm definitely like doing a like, you're doing too much, Claire's mom. But like, but people have their own thing. I don't think it's spoiling. But if you do that, you will have to do it every time.
Right.
So, just think about if that's a fun precedent for you, or if you're doing it because you feel anxious because it's the first time.
On the
I
note
was
of
thinking about
dying.
any summer culture recommendations for kids or adults. I will say we're doing some family movie nights, and we watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure last night.
My kids are obsessed with that movie. That movie ages really well, except for one F slur that is kind of ironic. Like you're like, I can
there's a
see
little
where it's
bit
loud,
of like
but
perviness, where like there was a scene that made me go like, and women aren't objects that just get handed in twos to pairs of two men. But it was really fun. And when I was tucking Max in, he was like, Mom, I love those dudes. So I recommend that. Anything quickly from you guys?
We showed our boys Clueless last night because I did so much parenting that I was like, I want to watch a me.
I get Clueless.
And I gotta say, watching Clueless, you're like, this does have DNA in Bill and Ted.
Totally.
Like, just the California of it all, Travis Birkenstock. I think, yeah, they seemed. It's hard to tell whether they enjoyed it versus like it was a thing that was on, but they sat for it. They definitely like the boy parts. There is the R word in it. So that is like the one like slightly cringe, but otherwise I love that movie. That movie.
Oh, it's perfect.
So
it's
great.
a perfect movie.
Yeah.
So recommend.
Okay, that's a good
completely.
one. I'll see if I can get my kids into that.
This is so dumb, but I think because we watch so much boy stuff in my house. I mean, I try to offset it, but there is that scene in the beginning where a guy comes up to Sharon, puts his arm around her, and she shoves him, and iconically says "as if," and I strangely got like choked up. I guess because I was like, I don't know how many movies I've seen where there's like you see something like that. I don't know. It was not a part that I would kind of expect to have feelings about, but I kind of had a little feeling about that, and it was sweet. So yeah, the movie aged really well, and that's my summer recommendation for sure.
Love it. Sarah and I were texting about Babes too. I feel like we got to throw that out there. If you haven't seen Babes, go see Babes.
You can stream it now. I'm gonna watch it with my mom maybe tonight. I've already seen it, but I think she'll. I can already hear her laughing
with my mom.
But that's really cute.
So delightful.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Very well done. Yes.
Well, happy summer.
Happy summer.
Thank
or
you.
whatever summer. No pressure to have it be happy.
Summer.
Just summer.
Have a summer.
Summer greetings.
Summer. Yeah, summer greetings. It is summer. It is. The days are getting shorter.
Claire, we're so grateful you were here.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I could have talked to you guys for several more hours. So let me know if you need to kill some more time. But I love talking to you both. And
all we do is kill time.
Comparing. I agree. Well, my kids are coming home soon, and like I think that's like the final thing about summer that is really hard is like it's easy to be a parent on the days off or on the weekends when you can be full into summer, but when you do have to switch gears and think about work or and then have fun, like I gotta go wash the fucking mint so I can make this salad for dinner, this delicious summer salad, so it is, there are a lot of brain switches, so we need to like be easy on ourselves. But
that's true. Thank you. That's a gracious thing to say.
I'm a gracious person.
You are a gracious guest, gracious and graceful. We love you so much. We love Evil Witches. You can follow Claire on Substack at Evil Witches Newsletter, or find her writing at Zulkey.com. Have a great summer.
Thanks, ladies. Happy summer.
Happy summer.
Thanks so much, Claire.
Thanks for listening. Happy summer. And like my mom always said, as if.
The Mother of It All is produced by Opus Nox Media with music from It's Electric. You can follow us on Substack at motherofitall.substack.com, where subscribing will get you episodes and bonus posts in your inbox, chat and comment features, episode transcripts, and more. And on Instagram at The Mother of It All. We know you are profoundly busy, but if you like listening and can manage to follow, rate, or review us in a small moment between leaning in and having it all, it will help us reach a wider audience and meet our stretch goal of getting Michelle Obama on the pod. Thanks for your support. Now get out there and have a totally passable day.